Thank you, Dean Josie. My name is Zhensen Huang, and my topic today is create possibility on campus and in business. I plan to share some stories behind two of my key milestones in my life. One is, as a student studying at UMBC on campus, and also as an entrepreneur starting a business. The connection between these two set of milestones or stories is they didn't seem possible. They seem impossible until it actually took place. So let me start with my student story. The reason I said UMBC was an impossible reach for me has to go back to where I came from. So I grew up in a very small village in rural China where there's no running water or electricity. As a boy, I had no real concept of the world outside of my small village. I didn't know there was a country called the United States, let alone imagining coming to one of the most amazing schools there called UMBC. Yay! So, on top of my ignorance, my family was never going to be able to afford my tuition. So within this context, on one hand, it was impossible for me to come to UMBC. On the other hand, maybe you can understand a little bit about my deep gratitude. When UMBC took a chance on me, not only admit me into the PhD program, but also offer me a full assistantship. And my luck didn't end right there. I met the nicest people here at UMBC. When I arrived at this great country in 1998, I didn't know any other person in this entire country. This is where I started. This is where I met my first group of friends, and some of whom are still best friends of mine today. And this is where I met my amazing professors, including my PhD advisor, Dr. Gangapodia. That's why I include a picture with him at my graduation as a way to show my appreciation. Now, with deep gratitude in heart, I try to stay engaged after graduation. So I attended a lot of events, and the picture on the right-hand side is one of the events I went to at Dr. Rowski's retirement party with the two other IS Department of Information System professors. So that was fun. What a great leader. So that was my UMBC or student story. After graduation, I started working as a software engineer, then moved on to be a technical lead, an architect, a program manager. I spent my time mostly in large companies where I realized there is some sort of inefficiency or some lack of consistent focus in this typical large company setting. Right, so in 2012, I was leading a very difficult IT project. A lot of people, including my close friends, thought that it was impossible to succeed. But somehow, I pulled it off. And in reflection, I attribute that to two key factors. One, we had a top-notch team. Two, somehow we figured out a way to work effectively together. So with that reflection, I realized that if I continue to work on these two factors, it opens a door to create new possibilities. So quickly, as soon as I realized that, right after I finished that difficult project, I decided to start Precise. And that was 2013, and this summer, we had our 10 years anniversary. The picture on the right-hand side captures our picnic with our celebration. Besides an amazing team, another factor that really take us to where we are now is this notion I call the Class A company mindset. And that comes from the story of our office spaces. When I started Precise in 2013, we operate from my basement, which is very typical for a startup for the first 2 years. Then we move into a very small office. By small, I mean only 2 tiny rooms. And it was pretty crappy. But we were so proud and happy. We stayed there for a year. Then we were looking for a bigger space because of our exponential growth. And my team started having debate, and that's when we learned the office buildings are categorized as Class A, Class B, and Class C, with Class A being the best. Not a surprise, our office at that point was a Class C. So there is a debate. Our team is looking at this is, well, do we just move into a Class B and call it upgrade? So we have these discussions until to a point that we came to a consensus. If we are going to be a Class A company, we're going to move into a Class A building. It was expensive, but that was the burning desire of wanting to be the Class A company is what it took us to where we are now 10 years later. That's why I include a picture of our building with our logo facing a major highway. And there's a story behind it. We don't have time to that. So that's my story between being a student at UMBC and being an entrepreneur starting a new business. As I mentioned, when I was a boy, I didn't envision to come to UMBC. It was impossible. When I was at UMBC as a student, I didn't envision to start a business. It was impossible. So both scenarios involves this process that I call create possibility. Now, what did I learn from that process? Number one, I'm going to use this quote from Bernard Shaw. It says, don't wait for the right opportunity. Create it. We are responsible for our future. And what it takes is we constantly take initiative. Don't wait for it. My second point is a little bit contradicting to my first point in a way that you're creating possibilities right now, no matter you realize it or not. What I'm trying to say there is a lot of times we don't necessarily see a very clear path in front of us leading to exciting futures. Sometimes it's hard for us to make a connection between what we're doing now to the great possibility down the road. But that's okay. Don't be discouraged. And that leads to my third point. What is important is embrace the present and envision the future. By that, I mean enjoy what we're doing now, but don't settle for just good enough. There's always room to make it better. Then dare to dream. Dream high. And with that dream, set ambitious goals. Without these goals, the dream might as well remain as a dream. Before I wrap up, let me make one last attempt trying to connect my UMBC experience, my Precise experience, with this process I call create possibility. So at UMBC, I didn't know I was going to come to UMBC. It's okay we didn't know where our future opportunity is. That's okay. What is important is embrace what you have now, embrace the challenges that we see every day, and figure out what we learn from that. And over time, as we make every single step at a time, you will realize that we have come a long way, accomplished a lot. What my Precise experience teaches me is believe that there is always something better that's possible. Take the chance and work to create that opportunity. The second point I wasn't able to articulate into a story there is be kind to your people. The first set of employees I hire into Precise are mostly my friends. And the reason they join me, and that's another thing I'm extremely proud of Precise, is most of our initial employees are still with us, including our first employee. They're happily with us. So be kind to the people around you. They're the one who's going to help you down the road. And the last, dare the dream. And this tied to our Class A company mindset. So that's what I wanted to share today. Thank you so much for listening.